I think I know the answer to this, but did you guys enjoy the movie? I'm not just saying this because he's here. This is one of my favorite movies of the year, but it is my great honor and pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Kyle Mooney.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Woohoo!
Dude, seriously, like, great job. I mean, like, this is really, I think this is one of the most inspired films I've seen in a long time. So,
I said the same thing. I
congratulations.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
It's very sweet of
It's a
you. Thank
wonderful,
you.
wonderful
It's very
movie.
nice of
It's
you,
very, it was a lot sweeter than I thought it was going to be, too, because I didn't know what to expect. You know, from the trailers, I think you guys did a good job of keeping it kind of ambiguous. You don't know exactly what to expect. But it was such a sweet film. I mean, it really very touching by the end of it. So, congrats on that, too.
I want to say thank you for saying that.
All right. Let's start at the beginning and talk about where the idea came from
Sure.
for this, and how hard or easy was it to kind of get moving forward?
The very beginning, how difficult was it? The very, very beginning, where it came from?
Yes.
Well, I don't know where ideas come from, but I know that I do have a love for 80s and 90s television and children's shows, and I have a big VHS collection and video collection, and so I think like the TV show within the movie came from that. But I was just obsessed with this idea at some point of a guy who watches a TV show that's produced just for him by his parents. And then at some point it blossomed into something bigger, and the story became more about the kind of world outside of that. And I pitched it to my friend Kevin Costello, the co-writer, who is working at Woo. Does anybody
that guy
know who
knows Kevin
is?
Costello.
We got some Costello.
The back, there you go.
Is that you, Kevin? Are you friends or family? Liar. Lauren is very wonderful. What's your name? Okay, Lindsay Freeman. I'll tell you that you know Lauren. I pitched the movie to Kevin, and then he had written screenplays. And I'm sorry this is so long-winded, but I got hired by SNL, and in the course of me working at the show, I would go back and forth and write with Kevin. Ultimately, we pitched it to a few different production companies, and we ended up with The Lonely Island and Lord & Miller. And Chris and Phil? Yeah, you got it. Chris and Phil, Lord & Miller. Oh, Chris to Phil. Oh, I see. I didn't know that. Yeah, Chris to Phil for short. Thank you. They did Lego Movie, yeah. Do you want to do this? And then from there we got cast and we made a movie.
So the beginning of the idea that this kid was raised by people by watching the show, was that the general basic idea that it started with? When did it evolve to, like, was it always going to be that it wasn't his original parents and all that?
No,
like, when did that come about?
I don't know when that came, but the more I thought about it, that kind of made it more fascinating to me.
Yeah, and then
brought it, and then like I said, the movie becomes more about somebody experiencing a world that they haven't experienced before.
Right, and I think it kind of delves a lot into, like, all of us can relate to as kids, you know, having that imaginative world that you grow up kind of thinking about, plus the things that you see on TV and how that would affect you if the imaginative world you see on TV, if you thought that was the real world and whatnot. I think there's so many inspired things there, and also the fact that the surrogate parents in this, in a weird way, it kind of speaks to that they're maybe incapable of raising him like normal parents, that they have to do this in order to raise him. Because the handshake thing, sure. There's obviously a lack of affection. There's certain qualities that they don't exhibit as normal parents.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's interpretive to you as the audience member. I think that they have a very distinct view of the world and are kind of trying to shield James from a lot of it. But also, one thing we tried to maintain in the movie is that there is a genuine love there, and not only do they care for James, James cares for them, but also it's obvious that Ted, Mark Hamill's character, maybe arguably loves this TV show as much as James does. He's invested in making it.
I did have a question about James. When I saw this, I was curious. How old do we suppose James is? Because I know it's established in the film. We do see that they took him in 1997, I believe.
Oh, God, are we
But we don't know exactly what age he was when they took him. How old do you think he is in the film?
Well, I can tell you what we landed on, but I'm sure if anybody does some like simple detective work, you could probably prove me wrong. I think we ended up at 25 now in the current state you see him.
Right.
And I don't know. I made this movie so long ago now. But I think 25 is what we landed on.
Right. Yeah, and that's very interesting, just the idea of that it's not just a child being shielded away from the real world, but the fact that you're an adult and that you don't really understand what the real world is.
Stunted.
Yeah, things like seeing a dog for the first time, which was great, you know.
And I will say, that was actually the first time I had Kyle Mooney seen a dog as well.
I find that hard to believe. Come on.
Well, believe it.
We talked a few minutes ago out there about Mark Hamill and what an inspired and wonderful choice he is for this role, particularly because of the voice aspect of it. But you were saying that he wasn't necessarily your immediate choice, but it just ended up being a perfect choice. So maybe talk about how he came about.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that was a really tough role to cast. I think we knew we wanted it to be somebody you wouldn't immediately think of, maybe, and somebody who could play this eccentric and genius. And the toughest thing to cast with that role, we always thought, was just the fact that he also had to be able to do the voice of the bear. And I mentioned to you, like, we were kind of, I think, casting for that last scene with Mark, where like you see this person speaking in their normal voice, and then they, go into the Brigsby voice. And we were stumped for a while, and then Dave, the director, and I don't know how, I mentioned Mark Hamill. We brought up a video of him at like a press junket where he is talking as himself, and then he goes into the Joker voice from Batman the Animated Series, and it's like, yep, you want somebody like that. Yeah. That
can also exhibit that sweetness. I mean, he's kind of nuts, but
yes.
At the same time, like, you can look into his eyes and think, there's a sweet guy
and it's like,
in there.
and it maybe goes without saying, but there's that added layer of like, it's a movie about nostalgia and fandom, and of course he played Jean-Luc Picard.
Close, but he was in Tron, right? No, but and also talk about like your personal love for VHS and how that kind of bled into this character and his love of being in a room that is literally wall-to-wall VHS movies.
Well, I love that scene was so fun. Getting the art team to build that was one of the most fun parts. I think like the description of that whole room was very early on in the process. We wanted it to look like a sort of, I think in the script it says something to the effect of like a janky version of a Star Wars fan's bedroom, where like everything looks a little off, like not quite the Hollywood version or something like that. It was much more eloquent if you were to read the script. But yeah, I mean, like, I imagine a handful of people in this room are like that. We just kind of covered our rooms with posters and figurines, and I'm an obsessive person, and I still have like Alf posters, and I have an Alf poster framed above my bed, and a Mickey Mouse poster, and I've been getting into collecting Happy Meal toy displays. But yes,
like the actual point of purchase displays.
Yeah. So this would be like a plastic case covering like the characters from Tailspin or something like that. But yeah, my love of videos, like, yeah, Teddy Ruxpin played a big part in this movie. We threw everything out there: She-Ra, He-Man, Star Wars, this live-action Winnie the Pooh show called Welcome to Pooh Corner. That was on the Disney Channel in the '80s. But I'm sure all of you guys guessed that already.
Absolutely. And then capturing the look of that retroactive style of like a VHS children's show. How complex was that? Because I mean, you see this sometimes in movies where they try to make it look old, and it sometimes is really faked, and in a way that, like, it's like, oh, that kind of looks like it, but not really. This was like about the most perfect I've ever seen in
Thanks.
terms
That's
of
nice
it
of you to
really
say.
looked like you
Thank
dug up
you.
some old VHS tapes.
Yeah, well, we try to do everything as practical and as genuine to that period as we could. So, I mean, Dave or our DP Christian would be better to speak on it to some degree. We got like 3 or 4 vintage beta cameras or like TV cameras, and then Brigsby. It's all animatronics. We had this place called Stupid Buddy Studios in L.A. create the Brigsby body and the head, and then it's all matte paintings, and it's as if a person was producing that show with the technology that was available in like 1989 or something like that.
And that is Mark Hamill in Sun Snatcher, isn't it?
That is Mark Hamill,
Yes.
yes. Though
Wow.
at the end, that's me.
Is that right?
Some people, I feel like
Yeah.
people don't know that at the very end, now James has taken over the role.
Right. That's fantastic. I know you guys have questions, so I want to get to some audience questions, and we do have someone with a microphone. So if you raise your hand, I will call on you. Let's start right there. She's going to come over to you with the microphone. And let's try to keep them short so we can get through as many as possible.
This might be a kind of niche question. I'm wondering if we're ever going to see more of the D&K podcast. Waiting to hear that premiere episode.
Yeah. I've been doing so many of these Q&As with Dave McCary. He's not here, obviously. He would usually answer with, well, it's coming out, but it's been uploading. It's been uploading for a very long time.
Right.
My answer to that is we've not uploaded it yet, but we're going to upload it at the end of the week.
Wonderful. Thank you.
At the end of this week?
At the end of this week.
Okay. How about right here?
Hey, big fan.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, where did the character come from exactly? I saw it kind of as a mixture of the character from Inside SoCal and a mixture of the interview character you would do way back when.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know that I came from any specific character per se that I've done in the past. I think generally, like, as an actor or performer, I kind of pull from similar places and kind of play to my strengths. But in all the characters I've ever done, or most of them for the internet or for Saturday Night Live or whatever, it's usually like there's some element of persons Dave and I grew up with or went to middle school with or high school with. I'm also really into YouTube videos of kids who like speak directly to camera. Like the ones, I've said this before, but I like kids like in like the middle of the country who have very small amount of views on their videos, but they talk to the camera as if they've got a lot. So they'll have like 15 views on their video, but it'll be like, hey guys, sorry I haven't made a video in a while. But it's like, who cares?
I think it's like the next level of narcissism past Twitter,
yeah.
like the YouTube personal video. Yeah. I saw a hand in the very back on the top row.
He's first.
No? Oh, right there. Okay, sorry.
So with the learning algebra in the video and like the thing about poison sweat, was there anything when you were writing the fictional Brigsby show that you were like, this is a little too weird to put in there? And was there anything that was like that you left out because of like time reasons? Because we only see like 5 minutes of the actual show.
Most of the Brigsby stuff that ended up in the movie is pretty much most of what we shot because we only had 2 days on the Brigsby set and like with a limited budget and limited time, we truly only got to get the stuff that was scripted. And then but I'm sure and the scripting we did like a lot of like we would have like Mark do different alts, and I'm trying to think of like any specific weird like Brigsbyisms that didn't make it. There were definitely ones where we're just like, this is too silly. Like we always kind of had to, in the movie generally, like kind of watch out for moments that felt too broad or too big or like it felt like we were pushing the joke too far. So anything I don't know. I feel like there was something about trading. Maybe this ended up in the movie. I don't even know. But like there was some bit
Touching
about
the penis.
No, I know that one's in the movie. I think there was one that was like, when you lose a tooth, you can trade it in for bread. That one didn't make it.
That's a damn shame. Josh, let's go right here in the stripe or the plaid shirt right there.
First of all, great movie.
Oh, thanks so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's my favorite movie of the year now.
Oh, that's very sweet of you to say. Thank you.
That's awesome. What's your spirit animal and why?
Spirit animal. Bear. Damn. Can I just have a? Can you just define? Can we like? Can I have a definition of what a spirit animal is, so I know, so that I don't. Would I relate to them? Okay. I was asked a similar question to this once, and I said, a funky frog. But I want to give you a new experience, so...
Like a funky smelling frog or a frog that was into funk?
Like a frog with a backwards hat and...
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say my spirit animal is a funky frog.
Okay, funky frog. Josh, can we go down here? All right, I've got two side by side, so fight.
So my best friend Kaylee is probably your biggest fan of all time, and she can't be here. But on her behalf, I wanted to ask you, who is your favorite musician or band of all time, and why?
Okay, well, I'm sorry Kaylee couldn't be here. Where is she? Oh, got it.
That's far from here.
Well, she should have planned ahead. Favorite band and why, or musician? That's tough. Because I feel like I could name, and there. I feel like I could name the three. Oh, really? Oh, okay. You know it. Yeah. Well, like I don't even. I mean, like. I like. There's so many. I like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Prince are probably like my three favorite persons, but not a lot of people know them. But do you have? I feel like. Do you think she's like searching for a specific answer? Favorite version of "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right" is the Frankie Valli version, which I actually don't know. Does anyone know this? The Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons version of that song? Oh, well, they cover "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right," the Bob Dylan song, and it's like kind of a. If you know how Frankie Valli sings, it's like he sings in a really low voice. That's not true. Sorry.
No, it's very high.
But it's very high pitched and it's a bubbly version of the song. I don't know what else to say about it. I like the Beatles because they did so much. Well, they have a lot of good records, but in a very small amount of time. Their first record probably came out in 1963, and the last one in 1969 or 70. And if you think about those pop records and the development of the psychedelia and even the use of synthesizers in Abbey Road, you can find something that you'd love.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on that, is there a band that was on SNL that really blew
I thought you were
you
going to
away?
say, just to piggyback on that, I actually like the Beatles too.
But while you've been on SNL, is there a band that's been on that really like you were kind of like, wow, I can't believe I'm like sharing the stage with these guys?
Well, I saw Prince played during when Chris Rock hosted, and his set was pretty remarkable because he didn't do the typical like one set at the early part of the show, a second song, the second part of the show. He just did like a long 9-minute thing, which was really rad. Tribe Called Quest was here last season. D'Angelo, Kanye, every time. Miley Cyrus, I like watching a lot too. I mean, at the 40th anniversary, I got to see like everybody perform. So yeah, it's always special.
Yeah. Up here in the middle. Oh,
Hey.
on the end. Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hey, first off, thank you for coming out here and doing this. I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say we appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
As a child, I fell asleep to old cassettes of this 1930s, 40s radio show about a bear, oddly enough. And I was wondering what your kind of childhood Brigsby bear is, if you have one.
Yeah, well, I had a lot. I feel like I had a lot of them, and I was a kid that was just obsessive generally about everything. I was also the youngest of 3 boys, so I was into all the things that they were into. But you know, like everything from like He-Man, Transformers, Thundercats, all of that, and then probably like Disney stuff like Gummy Bears and DuckTales and Star Wars. Yo-yos or the Beatles, but stuff like I was really into Saved by the Bell. That's probably my favorite TV show of all time. Is that adequate?
Let's go right here, Josh.
Hi, I was wondering how y'all landed on Chance Crimmins to play the character of Logan.
Oh, you know Chance.
Mhm.
Chance played Logan, and as you said, sorry. Which is the character who, I don't know. He's in the party scene. He's the dude, the kid with the blonde hair. That's not George. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I'm doing such a poor job rather of articulating this.
Is he the one that's in the red costume at the end?
Yes.
Of it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
all right.
Exactly. Yeah,
Fighting
yeah, yeah.
Brigsby on
And
the
he
film,
and
yeah.
yes. Anyway, we had in the script. Logan only had like 2 lines scripted, and so we wanted to hire locally, and we were shooting in Utah, and Chance lives close to Salt Lake, and I think I tweeted out like, is anybody interested in sending in a video for this role? And he was great, and we then found out, I didn't know who he was, but he makes Vine videos and YouTube videos, and he's really funny and very natural. And then he was so rad to have around. I think one of the most remarkable things, though, was like, we were like, okay, so at the end of the movie, we're going to do this montage of like James's movie where you're going to be in the Sun Soldier outfit and you're going to be fighting Brigsby. And he's just like, all right, should I do like some like roundhouses or cartwheels? And we're like, well, sure, can you do that? And he was like a trained gymnast or something like that. He was.
So that's really him at the
That is
end. That's great.
really
that's
him, yeah.
fantastic. Let's go down here. Well, she's way up there. Okay, Josh will come over to you. All right. We'll see who gets there first. There we go. Smiley Fisher.
You okay?
That's why I was worried.
Colby here.
Hey, Colby.
Hi. Was there a point during, like, I guess your life or your journey to stardom that you doubted yourself?
Sure. I mean, I feel like I doubt myself all the time. Yeah, but I'd like to think that over time you can maybe. I've learned to manage some of those emotions and feelings, and just kind of say to myself like, well, this is how I feel right now, and even if I think this won't work or I'm going to screw it up, I know I've had this thought before and it's turned out okay, so I'm just going to persevere.
All right. Josh, right here. Yes.
I was just curious. The theme song is so spot on, and I feel like it's going to be on my Spotify now forever. So at what point in your development of the storyline did the theme song kind of come along, and what sort of the evolution of that?
Yeah, well, we always knew we wanted it in there, and I think in the script it was written as like the Brigsby theme song plays, and then we go into opening images of Brigsby on foreign planets, et cetera, like an opening theme in essence, like the montage of like previous Brigsby episodes and stuff like that. And then there's a scene later on in the movie where Spencer says something like, oh yeah, when we make your movie, we've got to start out with a theme song. Dun, dun, dun. But when we shot that scene, we didn't really know what the theme song was, so we were just kind of guessing, and we just went dun, 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 and just hoped that whenever we made the theme song, it would match that. But we always, I think, knew we wanted something that kind of evoked those shows we loved. And some people would say that it's perhaps largely stolen from the Gummy Bears theme. I would disagree.
Is that the same theme song that we hear at the very end of the credits?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It actually kind of made me think of Neverending Story a little
Sure.
bit.
Yeah. I love that theme.
Very
That's fun.
sweet, very, very nice theme. Let's go right here in the orange. Yeah.
Lamal, I think, of Kajagoogoo.
Does everybody get
That's
that?
his first
Everybody get that
I think
reference?
that's his name. I don't know if anybody.
All right.
Hi, okay. I just wanted to ask, what's the most unexpected part about being on Saturday Night Live for you?
Unexpected part. It's a good one. Well, I got to say, like, when you work in comedy or in the industry, I think you kind of start to learn that the job is, even before being there, that it's going to be stressful and hard and intense. So that was sort of expected to me. In terms of unexpectedness, one thing that I've really loved is I was always intimidated by the idea of having to come up with an idea every week, because prior to working at that show, I would kind of write or come up with stuff as I was inspired, or like, we would make internet videos kind of whenever we wanted to make one, or when we thought like, okay, this is something we want to pursue, but sometimes it would be months in between an internet video or something like that. Now at the show, you have to write something every week in order to try to survive and to get something on TV. So I didn't realize that I could every week come up with something, whether it's as good or as great as the thing the week prior or 2 weeks prior, I don't know, but it's always sufficient enough. And so that was nice to know that I could at least come up with something. That was nice.
In the lumberjack shirt right there. It's the easiest way to describe it. Go ahead.
Man, me and my friends have been watching your videos since 420 disaster and that whole thing.
Thanks, man.
Just what's it been like going from making these? I mean, they're super goofy YouTube videos to doing Saturday Night Live, and then now you're. I mean, this is a sweet movie. Like, what's it been like, kind of starting there and then ending up here, and then where do you kind of see it going from here?
The short answer, boring. That's not true. It's been wonderful, and like the nicest thing about it has been that I've been able to do it with my friends the whole time. So obviously Nick and Beck are in the movie, and Dave directed it, and Kevin, who Good Neighbor fans might not know, but he went to middle school with me, so I've known him forever. But it's been really rad, and the nice thing has been that every internet video we made back in the day, it was like there was like a learning curve to it, and you learned something new. Excuse me. You learned something new with every video you made, and almost like sometimes you'd shoot something at a higher quality. You'd be testing stuff out, and then we got to SNL. Now it's like you're producing for more people, or there's a celebrity host involved, or you're just blasting your stuff out to a wider audience, and kind of the pressure steadily builds, but also your skill set kind of does. And I'm very fortunate in the sense that I went to SNL with Beck and Dave, and then Nick came the next year. But it's a scary place, and it was nice to have my friends there with me, and so it was always pretty comforting. And the same goes for the movie. Like, we kind of tried to. It's making the movie was not much different than being on the set of one of our videos like a decade ago or something like that.
Okay, we only have time for a couple more. Let's go right here in this front row. No, in front of there. Yeah, there you go. In the black, holding up the phone.
Hey, man. Yeah, I love the movie, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Wanted to ask, you mentioned Good Neighbor. I'm a fan since Good Neighbor. I think you know that. I've met you before. And it's all
Ari?
right. Yeah. Hey, dude.
How are you?
Doing well. Amazing, dude. So I wanted to ask, how did you originally meet David? and Nick and Beck.
Well, can I first shout out Ari here, who's done many voiceovers for Good Neighbor videos and my own videos. My favorite of which is probably Best Kids Awards. Does anybody know that video? Do you know any? Ari, do you remember any of the Snoop Dogg, Royce da 5'9"? Can we give him a microphone? Can you just do them real quick?
Little Timmy and his drums, and Royce da 5'9", and Snoop Dogg, and Carpenter Bob, and
Yeah.
Principal Skinner, or Principal whatever. Yeah.
All right. Well, now you're riffing a little too much there. But yeah, no, I met Dave in 4th or 5th grade in San Diego, and we were kind of rival class clowns. More on his side. He, for some reason, didn't like me. And then the next year in 6th grade, we were in the same carpool, and we became pals. And we got into hip-hop together, and then movies and sketch comedy. And yes, we've known each other and worked with each other forever. Thank you, Ari. Let's give Ari a big round of applause.
I apologize, folks. This is going to have to be our last one. He's already got the microphone in his hand.
Hey, Kyle. I feel like Patton Oswalt in that one movie. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. It's great.
That's the majority of my question. No, I wanted to ask what the durability and creativity, like the differences between making a sketch that you think about for a week or 5 days, or a video you make in a day, versus something that takes years and years of your life, and like what the permanence of that is for you in your mind, like your pride in it and something like that.
I don't know. It's fascinating because like I'm now in the middle of, it's like this whole experience is new to me, so it might take me a little while to step back and get a decent perspective on the whole thing. But I know that this is something I love, the feature I love sharing with people, and I don't know, because we put more time into it, it feels there's like a weird permanence to it in a way that maybe I don't feel with some of the videos, which I don't rewatch the videos that much anymore. When I do see them, like it's always fun, but in a lot of ways they feel like it's kind of like I said earlier, you're kind of gearing up to get to this point, and in some ways they're almost like practice rounds. Though so many of them I do love and I'm proud of, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answered your question, but it's probably something I'm still figuring out.
Well, just to wrap this up, is it okay if we tell people why you're in this? Can we talk about that just briefly?
Oh yeah, I'm acting in a movie.
Yeah, he's shooting a movie here, so which is awesome in and of itself. That we need more movies shot in Dallas. So if you see him walking around, be nice and make sure he feels that warm Texas welcome. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some Tex-Mex.
He's already had some good barbecue, right? Did you have some good barbecue?
No, I went.
Oh, no,
I was at Knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got yes, I'm very excited. I am very excited to check out Dallas.
So we want to tell you guys real quick, if you post any photos or if you want to share this information about the film, just hashtag Brigsby Bear, and also please tag Angelika, Texas. If it's on Instagram, it's Angelika Film TX. Is that right, Adam? And please spread the word. Tell all your friends to check it out. It's now playing, and it's going to expand to even more cities next weekend, right, in other states.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, it's a small, independently made.
Yeah, this is one of those
film.
movies we need your word of mouth. Please spread this around as much as possible. Tell people to see it. So, yeah.
Thank you guys for coming.
Big hand for Kyle Mooney.